Alright, welcome to the second episode of learning C# for Unity game development. So in this episode, we're going to be looking at variables. So what variables are is they're just little bits of information that our game holds to remember. So we might hold where a player is, or their health, or their ammunition, or maybe we'll even hold what they have in their inventory and stuff like that. So the first step to declaring a variable is to define its type. So we'll start with integers. So integers are pretty much just whole numbers. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and you can also go into the negatives. So -1, -2, -3, and etc. And then the second part to declaring a variable is to give it a name. So usually you would name this like health or enemy health or things like that. But right now our integer is just for an example. So there you go, that's how you declare a variable, but right now it's not really holding on to anything. So let's assign it a value. So you just do equal sign and then you give it a value, like 45. And now we can go to Unity and make sure to save it. So you do Command S on Mac or Control S on Windows. So you do that and then go to Unity and hit play. So in here, nothing will happen, but down here's our console, and as you can see, there's nothing down there either, and that's because we didn't do anything with the integer. So it is assigned, it's in our computer, but it's not doing anything. So let's just go ahead and print it out to the console, and we use debug.log to do that, and then we can just put our variable right in there. So what it's going to do is it's going to go to example and then pull the value from example and put it right into there. So let's go ahead and run that now. And there it is. There is our example variable. So yeah, and the cool thing about variables is that you can assign it during runtime, or you can increment it or just reassign its value during runtime. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to comment this out, and what comments are, so I'll just show you what comments are real quick. So you do // to tell the compiler that it's a comment, and comments are just for the developer. The compiler doesn't do anything with it, but if we want to say like this block of code does this, that's what our comments are for, so we can keep our code clean and organized. So that's what comments are. And then, as I said, this update runs every frame. So what we can do is we can do example equals example plus 1. So this will just add 1 to example. And then let's go ahead and print that out. So go ahead and do that. Then always remember your semicolon at the end. So let's go ahead and print that. So as you can see, the update runs every frame, so now it's just going to keep adding 1 to example every time. So that's how you can reassign variables during runtime. And let's look at some other variable types. So we have our integers, of course, and then we have our floats, which are pretty much just decimals. And then we can name this whatever we want. Man, naming things is hard. I'm just gonna name it pencil because there's a pencil next to me here. So when you're assigning a float, it's important to remember that you put an F, capital F, right after it, because otherwise the compiler will think it's a double, and a double is just like a float, except that it can contain more decimal points. So if we put like a bunch of numbers here, and then we take this and put a bunch of numbers here, let's actually go ahead and print these out so we can see how doubles are more accurate than floats. So let's go ahead and print both of these out. Go to Unity, and as you can see here, here's our float, and here's our double, and the double is much more accurate than the float is. So that's useful if you need really, really, really precise information. Usually, I pretty much never use doubles. So unless you know that you need to, I would recommend using a float. So okay, some other variable types are strings, and strings are just strings of characters. So we would put things like names into here. So we could do Ben, something like that. So we can remember Ben's name. And then we also have booleans. So booleans just hold either a 1 or a 0, or true or false. So we can put either true in here, or put false in here. And yeah, so those are variables. They hold little bits of information. They're very useful, and you will be using them a lot, trust me. So that concludes this episode on variables. Next time we'll be looking at integer operators and string concatenation. I don't think I said that right, but I'll show you what it means next time.